07 Xterra, I'm going to do a little tutorial on how to do valve cover gaskets. So first, I did the 2 tins for that part, 2 tins for the intake, loosen this clamp, undo this 8mm, and this whole intake can come off. And disconnect the breather hose that attaches from here, right there. Throttle body is 4 5mm Allens. I don't disconnect any of the coolant or the connector, or else you have to do an air idle relearn. So I just take off the 4 bolts and let this hang down. Now this is an 07 with 195,000 miles, so I guarantee some things are going to be brittle, so I'm going to be careful. Also, that needs to be cleaned because that's disgusting. I'm going to have to do an air idle learn anyways. Having one of these hose separator tools is really handy because you can just go in and up. Usually, it's pretty on there. So with your other pliers, give it a little bit of a twist, and then it should come off. There we go. If you have a 12mm flexible head, you can get right down into here. There's a bolt right there, and another one kind of hidden under there. Okay, it's supposed to be right there, but it's missing on my truck. I'm used to putting my bolts on the cowling, but that's not a good practice because you can have a bolt fall down into the intake. So I'm not gonna be one of those do as you say, not as I do type things. I'm actually gonna get a magnetic tray and secure those. Put on top of the intake a 12mm for this, 10mm for this, under the plug. These can be kind of draped over the intake, and then you can get to all the 10mm in the middle. I already got that 12 out. After you get all of these, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 bolts out, then the whole thing can come out. Plus, there's supposed to be a 10 here and a 10 here for this bracket, but of course, it's missing one. And having a magnetic 10 helps a lot. And there's 2 breather hoses in the middle, or the back. I got one of them off, and then one just kind of goes back there. Now, I will say, the intake is a wee dirty. So I believe you should be able to leave that solenoid there. At least I believe that's what it's called. I can't remember, it's been so long. To get out that 10mm. But I think you have to use a 1/4 inch wobble socket. And sometimes this happens with the coil pack. I had my really good needle nose pliers somewhere upstairs and they're gone. Apparently in my haste to go to the parts store, I didn't save a whole section of the video. I took off the spark plug on cylinder 3, I believe, and there was oil in there. So it needed new valve covers, not just the gaskets, because you cannot replace just the tube seal gaskets on the Xterra or a 3.5 or a 4.0 on Nissans, which is dumb. Can't do it, whatever. So I went to the store, and then here's this next part after I left the store. I had to go to O'Reilly's. They were the only ones who had valve covers, and Jesus fucking Christ. $94 a cover. When I was looking at AutoZone, it was $53 a cover. Dorman, holy shit, you're expensive. But it is what it is. Oh, and a guy got AC in a can, and yeah, he was trying to put AC in the system with the car running and the AC system on. I'm no expert, but I don't think that's right. I'm glad I wasted an hour to do that. I'm just shocked that it was $95 or whatever I said, each valve cover. I'm hungry. The engine's hot again, of course, so I'm just gonna let her cool down, go eat some food, and then come back to this. Let's try this again. I'm just gonna do the tear down until I get the valve covers off, and then I'll pick up there. I should also add the tube that crosses over from each of the valve covers. Usually they get really hot and brittle, so you have to be careful. This one's already starting to crack, so I have to be really careful when I put it back on. On this 10mm, I just use an open-ended 10, busted it loose, twisted it out so that I do not need to remove this. And by the way, this is the setup I'm using. 1/4 inch ratchet with 3-inch extension and a wobbly 10 mil. I stand corrected. That solenoid has to come out for you to get this damn thing off. Because if you don't, this bracket back here blocks you. Now that is pretty clean, if I do say so myself. There's always silicone in the corners here. So you gotta use a razor blade, clean it up as best as you can. Scotch-Brite also helps a little bit, or emery cloth. As best as you can, clean the mating surface. These valve covers come with the gaskets, so I can go back to AutoZone and return the gasket from there. Now, I don't put the silicone on the cover side. I put the silicone right in the corners on each side right there. Now, I don't advise using power tool to put them back on because you can over tighten it. I've done it hundreds of times, so I'm going to do it and then snug it up with a 1/4 inch ratchet. And I went around 3 different times, starting in the middle, working my way out to make sure that this valve cover is tight. Don't forget to clip these back in. No time for the easy side. It's gonna make your life much easier if you remove the fuel line with this tool. You gotta press down on the line and pull up at the same time on that, so I cannot do it with one hand. And if you ever wanted to have an easier time replacing your cam sensors, now's the time to do it. Got the little dollop on, and sometimes I even use my finger to spread it a little bit more. That's enough of a glod that I don't need to do it, but it's a little difficult down there, so I use my finger. Everything's tight, put back together. Well, not everything, just the valve covers. Man, that is so much cleaner. And most importantly, don't forget to redo all of the hoses and put the clamps on, or else your vehicle is going to run like dog poop. So all of it's back together. Just need to put on this cover. And the number one thing that I always do before fully starting the vehicle after doing engine work is do a flood start. All right, now that I'm all cleaned up, I can show you what I'm talking about. In my case, I have a clutch, so my foot's going to be on the clutch and the gas at the same time. The car is just going to crank and crank and crank and not start. Foot on the gas. That lets me know that nothing is going to be interfering with the engine because I don't want full power. Now I have my foot off the brake, or off the gas. And there we go. The car didn't, or the Xterra didn't like that I still had my foot on the clutch and didn't release it and then depress it again. But now she's running good. I do have to do an air idle learn because I cleaned out the throttle body. There is less material in the way, so there's more airflow. So I got to do an air idle learn. Now I have this launch that is for Nissans only, and it can just connect right away, and I can do the air idle learn and be done. But that's a repair, and my back is fucking killing me. Time to go take a shower, then sit on an ice pack. It's now sending the program, and we went from about 800 RPM to where it's supposed to be. Now, $546 later, I got it done. But if I was to take it to a shop and get it done, that would have been at least $1,000 or more. Because I think valve covers pay like 3.2, and since my old shop is like $240 an hour, you do the math. Plus brakes, that's another $299 per axle, plus rotors would be another $200. Yeah, you're looking at like $2,000 to do what I just did for $500. Helps to know what you're doing.